And I want to start with you, Chuck, on the issues of the three main contenders, according to our reporting: North Dakota, Ohio, and Florida. Chuck, it seems as though Florida is kind of already a given for Trump. North Dakota, also a given. Ohio, kind of important. What do you see in these three, Chuck?
Look, I don't think Trump is making a traditional sort of geographical alignment here in that decision making. I think you sort of know that. My own reporting has indicated the following. You know, he's looking obviously for someone to be loyal, but it's more than just loyalty. He did like how Mike Pence worked with him. And how did that work? Well, Pence did the grunt work. Think about the coronavirus pandemic. Who was on the conference calls with the governors doing the detail of logistics and walking them through what the federal government doing? It wasn't President Trump, it was Vice President Pence. President Trump likes to come in for the touchdowns, right? He wants to come in after the ball's on the 2-yard line and do that. He doesn't want to talk marginal tax rates with the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. Mike Pence loved to talk marginal tax rates with the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. And when you start to look at sort of what did Trump like the most that Pence brought to the ticket, that's Doug Burgum. Okay? Doug Burgum also, I would argue, offers more balance between the sort of two wings of the Republican Party, your sort of populist outsider wing that is all things Trump, and I think J.D. Vance really is, in some ways, more of the same, versus Burgum, who is, look, he's sort of MAGA adjacent. Certainly his state is very conservative, but I've spent a lot of time with him. This is not sort of, you know, he is more of the traditional Republican businessman's view of what a Republican looks like going back to when you and I were kids, Jose. So and I'm going to throw in one little extra asset here. Trump loves Burgum's wife. He brings it up all the time. I know these things usually shouldn't matter. To Trump, those things matter.
Oh, interesting. So, Carlos, when it comes to Burgum, he's been using some of the same language that we've heard from Trump recently. Take a listen to this.
Under Joe Biden, we're actually living under a dictatorship today where he's, bypassing Congress on immigration policy. He's bypassing Congress on protecting our border. He's bypassing Congress on student loan forgiveness. I mean, he's defying the Supreme Court. I mean, those are the things that authoritarians and dictators do, is they don't follow our democratic processes and they just assert their own liberal view. And that's what the Biden administration is doing.
So what does this tell you, Carlos?
Well, Jose, it's pretty clear that these men are all auditioning for this job. And one of the best ways to get Donald Trump's support and just his appreciation is to go on television and say nice things about him or sound like him. So in Burgum, he's clearly found someone who he clicks with, who he identifies with. He also respects the fact that Burgum is a billionaire, made a lot of money. In J.D. Vance, I think Trump sees the heir apparent to lead the movement once Trump is no longer center stage. But I think in Rubio, the Trump campaign sees the candidate that could most help them with the political math. You have two groups in particular that I think Rubio is attractive to: skeptical Republicans, the Republicans who continue to show up in primaries and vote for Nikki Haley. Donald Trump has to bring some of those people back, make sure they turn out for him, not for Joe Biden or stay home. And of course, Jose, Republicans are making a big push with Hispanics. Some Republican operatives out there think that Republicans at Trump can win the Hispanic vote in 2024. That would be difficult, but I'll tell you, even if it's close,
right? I mean, but it could be if it's close, it could be a 44%, George W. Bush,
and
number.
That would be decisive. So Rubio can really help with both of those constituencies.
So, Chuck, what are your thoughts on that? That's an interesting one because Rubio being Florida as well as Trump. Right. I mean, there is the Bush-Cheney reality, right?
Look, I concur with Carlos. I think why Trump aides keep bringing Rubio back onto the short list is for the electoral assets that he would bring to the table. And I think if Rubio were a senator from any other state, he'd probably be the front runner. I do think this constitutional hiccup here, is a bit problematic. And I think it's weird if you make a sitting U.S. senator from Florida go be a resident of another state. Right. it just creates,
I mean,
I think.
what did Cheney do? What did Cheney do?
What's
Chuck?
that? Well, Cheney wasn't a sitting
Cheney
anything
do?
at the time, though.
Right.
Cheney was he was a private citizen when he made his change. And what did he do? He changed his residency back to the state that he had represented in Congress. So it was actually, in some, what's Rubio going to do? Go register, become a resident of Nevada? I mean, he did, I think he was, when he was a child, lived in Nevada.
Yeah.
I don't know where, does he become a resident of D.C., right? I just think it's a little too cute by half to make him do that. I think if he were already a senator from another state and they didn't have this issue, I think for all the reasons Carlos just said, he probably would be the front runner.
Chuck Todd, former Congressman Carlos Curbelo, thank you very much. A fascinating conversation. I appreciate it.